Here are the most important features that Android introduced first and how the iPhone caught up, sometimes even after a decade. Are you ready to discover how Android changed the game long before Apple followed suit? Let's dive in. The copy and paste feature was first launched on Android in September 2008. While it was introduced on iOS in March 2009, while iPhone users were still waiting, Android users were already copying and pasting text with ease. At the same time, push notification debuted on Android, providing real-time updates to users, whereas iOS introduced this feature only in June 2009. Android continued to lead innovation and interactive notifications as early as 2012, while Apple introduced this feature in 2014. OTA updates, automatic software updates without connecting to the device to a computer, were available on Android as early as 2008, while the iOS introduced them in 2011. Android set the standards for the notification center in September 2008. iOS followed this trend several years later in October 2011. Video recording, an essential feature today, was available on the Android as early as 2008. Long before the iOS offered this function in June 2009. Android allowed users to customize their home screen with widgets as early as 2008. Apple only adopted this functionality in 2014. Predictive typing, a feature that speeds up typing, was implemented on the Android in 2008, with iOS bringing this option only in 2014. In addition, Android introduced gesture typing in 2010. Long before Apple brought it to the iPhone in 2014. Android allowed wallpaper customizations on the home screen as early as 2008, while the iPhone included this option only in June 2010. In January 2010, Android introduced live wallpapers, a cool way to personalize your phone. Apple only came out with this feature in September 2015. Hey, before we continue, I want to tell you something super useful, especially if you're tired of tangled cables that take up spaces and take time to get rid of. Let me introduce you to MagTame cables, a solution so smart you'll wonder why you didn't discover it sooner. First of all, they're magnetic, so magnetic. That means you can fold them in seconds and no more clutter. They look good and leave your desk or bag so much more airy. On top of that, they're super fast. You can charge your devices with up to 240 watts or transfer files at the speed of light. Well, almost at 20 gigabits per second. But wait, it even gets cooler. They're built to last. Braided nylon fiber, 30 kilograms of tensile strength. Basically, they're made to survive any scenario. And the coolest part? You can use them for phones, tablets, small appliances, and even in your car. One cable for everything. So no matter which camp you're in, Android or iOS, MagTame cables are here to make your life easier. More information about MagTame cables can be found in the description. Android paved the way for mobile payments in May 2011 with Google Wallet, long before Apple Pay was introduced in October 2014. Android phones had the Tap to Wake feature as early as September 2013, while Apple brought this feature to the iPhone in 2017. Android introduced voice search in September 2008, long before Siri became available in iPhone in February 2010. The battery savings feature was introduced on Android in 2014, with iOS adding it a year later. Wireless charging was first available on the Android phone in September 2012. On iOS, Apple introduced wireless charging in 2017. The first Android phone to offer 4K video calling was the Samsung Galaxy Note 3. Launched in September 2013, Apple introduced 4K recording in 2015 with the release in the iPhone 6s and iPhone 6s Plus. The customizable home screen feature has been available on Android since 2010. On iOS, home screen customization was much more limited until Apple introduced similar functionalities only in 2022 with the iOS 16, almost 12 years later. The first Android phone with a dual camera was launched in 2011. Apple released this feature much later in September of 2016 with the iPhone 7 Plus. Android introduced optical zoom on phones as early as 2013, with Apple implementing this feature in 2016 on the iPhone 7 Plus. So you might be wondering at the end, why does it take so long for Apple to introduce these features that Android has had for several years? Perhaps to ensure that they are fully optimized and perfectly integrated into its ecosystem with extensive testing that contributes to the final experience. It also might be a wait-and-see strategy, allowing Apple to launch a feature in a way that feels innovative even if it has existed on other platforms.
I'm really excited about what we have to show you today. In iOS 16, we're bringing the biggest update ever to the lock screen. Your app icons and widgets can add even more. I can arrange my apps and widgets to frame it perfectly.
When a feature is finally implemented, Apple promotes it heavily, emphasizing perfect integration and Apple-styled optimization, making it seem like a groundbreaking novelty even though the other manufacturers had already offered it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button because more interesting videos are on the way. So, see you next time.